Just fucking do it. Subscribe now. Not all the Germans, but some of the nefarious Germans want to know, how do I get the fucking money in my pocket? Yeah, I mean, he's not denying it. But in the beginning, it's more difficult because you haven't done anything positive. You may have made some mistakes, as you've heard the people say, but when you start doing positive things, then the board just, we didn't have one exception to Andres' increase. And in fact, his bonus program is tied to the amount of acquisitions, how much over a 12% ROI is, and he busted all those. So he chose the lesser of the compensation packages, which was a lot of money. But I mean, if he had taken the higher compensation package, he would have got paid a few million. But he owns 62%. When you own most of the thing, and the board knows that you can throw everybody out and go through all that shit, whether you chisel them for an extra 500,000 euros or not becomes moot. It's not that important. You don't want the newspapers coming. You don't want the federal regulatory people coming to stare down up your ass about what you're doing. And so, my advice to them, just as I advise Roberto, take all the money and run, is to, take 3/4 of the package. Most of the directors that approve your package up front have no idea that you're going to earn it. Because all their 25, 30, 40, 50 years in business, they never had a package that was going to pay them $7 million in a year. Because they don't believe that you're going to be able to operate at a 12 or 15% ROI, return on investment. They're not going to believe that you're going to be able to do 25 acquisitions. One of my kids out there gets paid $250,000 per acquisition. Whether it's a good acquisition or a bad acquisition. He made 39 acquisitions. I wonder why. And then the board says, God, we had no idea he was going to be able to do that. I told you, but you didn't listen. Now, I've seen a lot of the kids, make tons before you exit. That's what I like. I like you to make tons before you exit. Because I want your lifestyle to change as soon as humanly possible. Because that's reinforcement like fucking lightning up your ass. You go from your corporate, wherever you live, a couple, 300 grand, or whatever, if you make that much, to making 2 million. I mean, that resonates. That resonates. And your wife gets, if she was kind of mediocre on board now, she's on, get out there and buy some more shit. Yeah. What are you doing home? And that's terrific. And it's happened. And it's our market, guys. God damn. And I'm not wishing it, but if the UK economy collapses, you can buy anything in the UK, but it's going to ripple around the world. It's going to ripple, if that's east, I don't know. It's going to ripple east first to the EU, and it's going to go all the way around the world, and it's going to come from Hawaii like a big wave and hit Western California. Because, the financial market, it sounds big for the planet, but it's not that big. It's not that big. Did she? The Prime Minister. Well, I was talking to MI5, my gal here, who's, part of the Scottish aristocracy. She thought that she wouldn't last till noon. This was this morning. Yeah. Now, if they call for a general election, that fucks up my politics. Because the next general election won't be for 5 years. And right now, I can see light at the end of the tunnel because it's only a year and 7 months away. But I'm not going to wait 5 years, have my legacy that I went like Grant took Richmond, burn Atlanta to the fucking ground. And there's a bunch of guys that have made tons of money that have, since they're not as active, I'm sure, well, they've already told me, Dan, just tell us whenever you decide to go rape, pillage, and plunder. We want to be part of the deal. Not dissimilar to the Russian thing. But we have Simon, the bull, in charge as CEO, and he is a ruthless motherfucker. I mean, he may look like a happy fat boy, but he's a fat boy, but he leaves blood in the wake. And that's, somebody on your board better be tough. Somebody. And as the Viking bitch said, and, the general, God bless him, I mean, he's tough in a measured way, because a lot of things that I would do, he would do not as harshly, because he realizes I don't care about living with the consequences. That's the difference. I just don't. I never have. But he's 15 years my junior. He knows that, he wants to live to fight another day. So there's certain things, so instead of beheading people, maybe he'll only cut their feet off or some shit, But he's still leaving them dead. But it just, it's not considered kosher or vogue. Yes, sir, Doc.
Relevant to me, if the UK economy does collapse, can I get the sellers to pay me to take their businesses?
Some of them you will. NHS. It still has money. Correct.
So,
if the UK economy collapses, all the big companies are going to have to sell assets to raise cash.
Right, gotcha.
And I don't think there's a bigger organization in the UK that has more assets than NHS, National Health Service, which is mismanaged. I mean, all the things that you shouldn't do. I mean, it's mismanaged. The former CEO of NHS works as chairman for one of my guys in Manchester.
Does that mean that I will be negotiating with the NHS directly?
No, well, your board will.
My board, yeah.
You may have to resign from the NHS.
Easy.
Well, I know it's easy. I'm just saying that, by the way, there's no love lost. There's not much love lost between the professionals at the NHS and the NHS, the actual NHS. It was a great idea that they started after World War II. But maybe they didn't fuck it up every single year, but they fucked it almost every single year. Performance is down, blah, 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 all the benchmarks that you use. And so they've invented new benchmarks that don't exist to make them look better. As does, corporate America does a lot of that. And again, space travel and automobiles. Elon has, with his foot up their butt, has made him honest to look at the numbers for real instead of the pretend numbers that a lot of the American Automobile Association and various space agencies. I mean, according to them, these guys, space agencies never made any mistakes. 500% over budget, but that's not a mistake. That's just a miscalculation. I remember them calling it. What the fuck's the difference between a miscalculation and a mistake? And then they get some German lawyer in there to flap his lips. But I hope the country doesn't collapse. I hope the country thinks they're going to collapse. That'll be as good as them collapsing, because they'll be running for the, like you see these tragic things at a football thing in Greece, or everybody runs for the exits, and 300 people die. Stampede, thank you. I want them to stampede like it was collapsing, and then we'll step like a bullfight, as long as we don't get run over. But I keep telling you, the opportunity that's good for us. Liz Truss resigning. Now, 5 years ago, before you heard of me, would you have thought that the Prime Minister of Britain resigning was good financially for you? No. Not even if you're in Germany, no matter where you are. You wouldn't have connected those dots. And I still have the smallest following on social media. We have some people, I haven't read them recently. Now, Kat is my fact checker, and she reads the somewhat nasty things people say about me. But we don't want to know, Mr. Peña. We know the world's fucked, but we just want to live in our la-la land. But, you know, when the meteor hits us, I'll be gone. But when the meteor hits us, I can just see, you know, them down in Miami Beach or Tenerife or wherever. And what is that big glue in the sky? What the fuck is that? And the 7-year-old kids can say, Daddy, I think that's the meteor we've been expecting the last 100 years. Boom! Okay. Any questions about private equity? Yes, ma'am.
Is it an ideal structure that you can do from the beginning and when you sign with the board for salary?
No, remember, as he has already done, you tell the board, you tell the lawyers that you could get, I want this to be not shareholder friendly, but major shareholder friendly, which is you. 72%, 72.5, right? Okay. But he's a cheap Austrian. He probably should only have 60, 65, but he's got 72. You want it to be absolutely 1,000% bulletproof that you can't say you're the only one that has the rights. But basically, you're the only one that has the major rights. And again, some of the big white shoe law firms, they'll write you 2-3 letters. Fulbright Jaworski will write you 2-3 letters, and those guys down there in the good old boy land, but then they'll do it. But they want a sufficient paper, the file, that we told them not to. We told them not, but then we did. We told them not to. And it's absolutely 1,000% legit. But the more PC we've gotten, the weaker the rights of the major shareholder. The weaker the rights. And I've seen it in my 50-year career. I didn't think it would get this bad. I just didn't. Bad meaning you build a motherfucker, you do everything, and then some guy that's got 5 shares has got more rights than you. There's something not right about that to me. It's just, you know. And we're not talking about taking money from babies, even though I say taking candy from a baby and shooting fish in a barrel. We're not talking about taking money away from people in Biafra and Ethiopia. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a guy who made an investment. He put up $100,000, and let's say you're public now, and we're going to talk about that before the day's over. And he owns 100,000 euros of your company that's now gone public. Well, fine. I mean, you've spent 15 years and you've created $3 or $4 or $5 billion worth of value from nothing. And why should he have more rights than you? But that's where the world is. And if he's black, he's got more rights. And if he's this, he's got more rights. And if he's a female with 1 leg and 1 tit, they got more rights. Okay, anything else about private equity? Okay, goodbye, YouTube.